All right then. So, hey there, folks. Welcome to this Rockstar Entrepreneur Jam session. My name is Tony. I'm your MC, and we're joined today by Dr. Dan. He's in the house. He'll be taking the stage with me today, and we're going to be talking about how would you get an extra $4,000 a month if that's what you needed coming in on the regular, and if you knew you had about 60 days to make that happen. What would Dan do in that situation? Also, how would you find people to connect with, to do the business with? And what's a really sneaky but easy way to get loads of testimonials and recommendations and kind of reviews for your business? That's what we've got coming up. Let's say somebody's bills, their outgoing bills for their house, and to lead a comfortable life, just for them as they are now, they need to cover $4,000 a month. And they know that in 60 days, they're going to be unemployed or something. That's their deadline to set up a system, some kind of an asset or a collection of assets. They're going to bring them $4,000 every month recurring.
So they got 60 days until they can match their income is what they're trying to do.
Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that because personally for myself, I went through that. I tell so many parts of the story of my life. It's kind of like when somebody says, you were an overnight success. Well, I'm like, yeah, but you didn't see the 10, 15 years that I freaking hustled and tried so many different things and pushed forward and hit obstacles and got cars repossessed. You don't see that stuff. So just to you, it seems like, he struck it quick, mainly because a lot of people don't want to sit around and listen to a 2-hour story about your struggles. They just want to know how they can do it as well. For myself, I actually had that. I was in a business. Actually, the most recent one was I was in the real estate business in the mortgage industry and some real estate investing and stuff. And as many people know, the market actually crashed in 2007, 2008. And, people were like, oh man, you're so smart for getting out before it all happened. But the truth was, I wasn't happy what I was doing anymore. And I wanted to get out. So I wanted to get out before I even realized that it was going to crash. I was about like 6 to 8 months ahead of the curve. And not because I saw it coming, even though, people talked about it. So I was looking for something else. And I knew the same thing. I knew basically in the next 30 to 60 days, I had to match the money I was bringing in. Fortunately, I had a little bit of money saved, but I knew that was going to run out really quick. And it actually did really quick. And for me, I tried all these different things that people talked about, like, oh, you could do all this affiliate marketing. You can you can create your own products. So I create my own course and I sold it. I made a little bit of money on there. And when I say a little, I'm like, I made like $1,000, $2,000 doing that at first. Then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do what my good buddy Tony does, right? Tony Robbins. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go speak at events, even though that's not what I really wanted to do. I wanted to do it all online. And back then, Goto Webinar wasn't what it is today, wasn't really there. So there wasn't really a easy way to do it online. So I started speaking at local events, and I was living in Northern California at the time, and I traveled to Southern California to actually do an event that had I think 12 people show up, and it was a small room. So it was filled to capacity almost. And I did that and made another like $800. And I'm like, dude, there's gotta be something else. And I was taking on coaching clients and making some more money. And then I kind of fell into the local marketing where people are like, hey, I see you do internet marketing for your own business. And, can you do that for me? And I was like, sure, because there was nobody else really doing that. And they're like, hey, I'll pay you $1,000 or $2,000 to set some stuff up for me. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is actually taking off. So for me, I needed to make money really quick. So what I did was I started reaching out to everybody that I knew, that story about there's diamonds in your own or gold in your own backyard. And that's what I did. As I started asking everybody, who do you know that owns a business that would like more leads and more business online? And I started reaching out to people and got a couple clients that way. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to speed this up. So I started using some of the mindset and strategies that have worked for me in other industries and other businesses that I did. And I was like, okay, because once you have the recipe for something, and you buy and you have the utensils and you know how to do something, you know how to bake, you can bake pretty much anything. You just need to kind of know the right ingredients and kind of test some stuff out. So that's what I did. Is I said, okay, well, let me replicate some of this. So what I did was I reached out to some people that I knew had an in an industry, and that was actually real estate, because it'd been years since I'd done any kind of real estate stuff. And I spoke to the mortgage broker that I used to do business with, and I asked her, who do you know that's I think at that time I said it was like somebody else was like the title agency, that does all the paperwork and the contracts and stuff when you're doing a real estate deal. And they had changed a law where they couldn't do any kind of referral type, paid referrals and stuff like that anymore. In the past, they were able to do certain stuff like that. So they were like, okay, well, I was like, okay, well, who do you know that could maybe help me, that has a large Rolodex of people? And they put me in contact with another mortgage broker who actually had a huge database of realtors and people that either they worked with or they wanted to work with. And I met up with them, and it was a great, meeting. And it was kind of like, hey man, this would be a great thing for you and for me, because I'll get business, but you'll look like a hero and you'll get more business because you'll be helping these realtors get more leads online and set all this stuff up. So I actually said, hey, let's put together an event. And just so you know, I'm freaked out to be on stage. I was always like scared. Put it this way, okay, and a lot of people don't know this about me. Number one, I'm a huge introvert. People are like, what? No, like, I've had people say, how do you become a people person like you? And I'm like, dude, I'm an introvert. I'd rather just be sitting on my electric recliner, binge watching some Netflix, with the family and stuff. And but I forced myself to do it, because it's like, if I don't do it, who's going to do it for me? I can't be like, like, hey, Tony, go over there and do some events for me and get some money and pay me money. It's not going to happen. I had to do it for myself. And I did that. I said, hey, I'll put together some events. I created my first slide deck, which is creating a presentation. Because I didn't know what I was doing. There was no real guidelines back then, no guidance. There's no courses on here's how you create like a PowerPoint or keynote presentation. So mine was like over 300 pages of slides, 300 slides, 400 maybe. But they looked really good. I was really proud of them, and for my first ones especially. And that it was supposed to be an hour and a half presentation. And I think it took like 4 hours, and 80% of the room actually stuck around. And if you know anything about realtors, they don't stick around for much. I mean, they're like, like constantly like, I gotta go. They stuck around. So I had probably like 20 or 30 people come to that first event. And mind you, I didn't have to do any marketing for that event. The mortgage broker did it all for me because he wanted people to show up, and he actually had a room that we did the event out of. So they had their own like little meeting room in the back that they stored files and stuff. He had his own screen and projector, so I just had to bring my slides on my computer, and he set that all up and had everybody show up, and 20 or 30 people, and that led to like over $100,000 in my first year. I probably collected in that first week, maybe like 10, 15 grand. And then, every week after that, I just kept accumulating more and more clients because even ones that didn't come to the event, that couldn't make it to the event, they started hearing about, hey, so-and-so did this event. It was really awesome. I got these tips and this advice. And I offered a service like, it was actually setting up people for Hootsuite, which is a social media management tool. Now, back then it was pretty new, so nobody kind of knew what it was. But today it might be, hey, let me create you a Facebook page or an Instagram page, and I'll throw some quick design on there and some stuff and some information on there. And I gave those away for free. It took me maybe like 5-10 minutes to set up. At one point, I started hiring somebody else to do those for me. But what ended up happening was, the mortgage broker that put all this together for me, he was actually contacting me all the time saying, hey, June wants you to set this up for her too for free, And I was like, okay, cool. So I did a little call with her and got her information and set it up. And the cool thing about this, and I've spoken about this so many times, the cool thing about it, that wasn't even really, I didn't really know this was going to happen, because I was kind of like, whoa, man, my close rate is so freaking high on this. It was like 85-90% of the people that I would set up with this free service, just that took me 5-10 minutes to set up, they hired me. And I'm like, why is this working so well? So I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, this is how I teach it now, is I'm like, look, when you ask somebody to house sit, right, Tony? So if you're like, you know what, I need somebody to babysit, right? You got a new baby. I need somebody to babysit, and you find somebody, you get a referral, and you hire somebody to babysit your child and to water your plants and watch your dog, right? So they got a key to your house and everything. The next time you go out of town, and as long as that person didn't burn your house down and do anything, bad, and fed your baby, right? And your baby didn't cry nonstop, who are you going to hire the next time? Are you going to go, you know what? I feel like finding somebody new.
Yeah.
No, right? You're going to hire.
Of course, the same person. You trust them. You know them, you like them, you trust them.
Yeah, you already gave them your keys once. I mean, why would you want to risk trying to find somebody else again? And that's exactly what happened, because somebody gave me the keys to their house, which was, their passwords, their email, to set up their, Instagram or their Facebook or whatever, so I can connect it all together. They gave me the keys. They trusted me, and they're like, oh wow, let me pay you now, and plus you've done this for free, and while everybody else is like, hey, I'll get you on the first page of Google, but they haven't given you anything and they haven't even shown you anything, they're going to trust me now. Plus I was a referral from somebody they either heard of or they knew, which was this mortgage broker. So this can be replicated in pretty much almost any business you can think of, because there's going to be connectors, we call them connectors, in every industry. So long story into the short story, the short answer is find connectors that have a Rolodex of people in either one industry or multiple industries, because you're going to have like insurance companies, insurance brokers, you're going to have, people that do, real estate or mortgage broker or house inspections, things like that. They're going to have a Rolodex of other people that they refer and they recommend. You're going to have pool builders who have people they recommend as a roofer or a deck builder or build fences. So there's going to be somebody that's a connector in different industries. Look for those people and have them give you referrals. And you can either give them a kickback, which I never had to do, or you can just offer them free service, or it might just be enough for them to recommend, because it makes them look like a winner and more people will do business with you, right?
Yeah. Excellent.
Every industry you could think of, even dentistry. Dentists have somebody coming into their office pitching them to buy something, whether it be like dentistry tools, right? Like those little picks or x-ray things. And, they have all kinds of things that they have people coming in trying to sell them stuff. You get a hold of one of those people with a Rolodex, that one guy probably knows 200 dentists within a 50-mile radius that they can actually refer you to. Or an event, right? Dentists have events and workshops. I've done that as well too.
Excellent. So when it comes to what do you offer them? What are good ideas? So we've established kind of how to get in. Yeah, so we've established that that's how you kind of get in with people, and that's how we could make the $4,000 a month. Yeah. But what would we do for them as a service?
As a service, it's going to really depend on what service you really want to offer. I mean, part of it might be, if you're somebody brand new, then it's like, okay, which one do I offer? But if you're somebody, it's like, oh, well, I already do video marketing. Well, then yeah, offer them something with video, right? So if it's something you already do, then do that. If it's something, if you're a total newbie and you haven't done this before, then it might be just creating a lease site, which we call the landlording strategy, right? Where you create a site and some web properties like videos and things like that, and you get them ranking on the first page. You show that as an example, and then you say, hey, I can do this for your city as well. Or if you rank that city already and say, hey, I already have this asset, how would you like it? Put your name on there and your picture, and you just pay me a set amount. You pay me $200 to $500 to $1,000 a month, depending on the industry. And again, we get this question all the time is, what should I charge? Well, you know what? There's no perfect answer for that. What would I charge? $500 to $1,000 per month. But sometimes you're just starting out. And if it's an industry that's like, if you're talking about a hairstylist, they're not going to pay that much because they get $10 to $20 per haircut, unless they're like some high-end in-demand person who doesn't even really care about the web presence because they're so in demand. But if you're talking about like a pool builder who can get, a $50,000 to $250,000 deal, then you can charge more, $500 to $1,000 per month. But the good news is you can charge whatever you want. You can charge $100 a month just to get it started, just to make it real for you. Because when you get that first check in your pocket, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. I actually got money for this. I could do more of this. Then you could raise your prices with others and just keep doing it. But always get testimonials as well. So if you're going to give somebody a deal, just say, hey, I'll give you a cool deal as long as you, if you like my service, if you'll just write me a quick, endorsement that I could put on my website so I can help other people. That's a big thing too. Get as many endorsements as you can. Like I used to, one thing that I did when I first started out, and again, this is just a strategy that I learned from my other businesses and other strategies that I use that worked really well, was I was first starting out, I didn't have any testimonials because I just started, right? So what I did was I created a quick video for different people that I knew that owned businesses. I mean, some were a bankruptcy lawyer, another one was a mortgage broker, another one was a realtor, another one painted houses. I met a guy through my parents' restaurant that he was doing like video work for businesses and stuff. I created him a quick site that took me like 10-20 minutes to set up. And for others, I created a quick little video using something like Adobe Spark. And at the time, it was a different service that's not around anymore. Or you can go on Fiverr and pay $5 or $10, have somebody create it for you. I created them a video with testimonials that they collected off their own website. And I did that, and they wrote me a testimonial. I didn't charge them anything. I just said, hey, if you like this video, you write me a quick little endorsement, a little testimonial of the service that I gave you. They're like, sure. Well, I had like 20 testimonials in the first week I started. So on my website, and so I look like I was the go-to guy.
Excellent. Yeah. I did a similar thing. I was making little animated logo things, little logo videos. And so my partner Gemma, she's a dance teacher, and she's in some Facebook groups that are just for dance teachers only. You have to prove your credentials, you have to prove you're a qualified dance teacher to join. And she posted in one of those groups saying, I've just had this video done, and it's my little logo animation, and I just put it at the beginning of all the videos when I'm posting about the kids dancing and stuff. I put it at the beginning of this just to brand my school, because when people share it, it's not always obvious, my school's name. He's doing a special offer for just £10 each if you'll give him a testimonial. And in fact, the first few, we didn't even say if you give him a testimonial. We just ran it as they're just £10 each, because I was like, I need £100 now. So I sold 10 of those. And then I reached out to those people and said, hey, would you leave a quick testimonial on my page? And then after that, we just ran it again, and we just said, hey, you've got to give a testimonial as well. And that kind of launched doing my little video marketing thing. And that was just using an online video creation thing. And that really got the ball rolling. So that was two things. That was one, asking for testimonials, and two, getting a connector, which in this case was luckily my partner Gemma, just to hook me up with connections.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think maybe people have more people than they think. Like you said, gold in your backyard. It's a case of just sitting down and thinking, right, who do I know that knows people?
Yeah, and here's another little tip when it comes to testimonials, and we can actually elaborate on this at another time as well, more. But one thing that I learned with testimonials is I would get probably, because like when you ask like 10 people for a testimonial, you might get like 3 or 4 that actually reply. They're just too busy, right? So what I did is to increase my testimonials, I would actually ask for the endorsement. I always said like endorsement or something, or just write a few words I could put on my website. I didn't say testimonial, because to me that seems very committal, like, So I'm like,
I was saying review to them. Yeah, leave me a review.
See, I still like saying, can you write a few words that I can put on my website, or on my marketing, content, so that way I can, get some more business and help other people or something like that. And what I do though, here's how I get higher amount of testimonials written back, right? Or reviews, or whatever you want to call them, is I would actually, in what I asked for, I say, can you just write a few words, 1 or 2 sentences? And then I gave them 2 examples. Here are 2 examples to give you some ideas of what other people have written. And then I wrote those out myself. I just wrote, so-and-so did a great job helping me with this, blah, blah, blah. And then the second one, or here's another example. Example number 2, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. So when I started giving people examples of what other people have written, I increased the amount. I'd probably say like 8 out of 10 people actually gave me an endorsement when I asked for it because of that. And I don't even know if I came up with that at first or not, because it's been so long since I started doing that. I want to say that I had one person ask me, can you give me an example to kind of help me come up with an idea? I think after that, I started adding that. So I even know if I came up with that before somebody asked me to give an example. I was like, ooh, this is gold. I like to take full credit for it, but
yeah, fair enough. There is a similar one that I used when I was in a network marketing or multi-level marketing thing here in the UK, and that was where, while you're there chatting with somebody, you say, listen, my business is based on recommendations, so would you write me just a quick Facebook status on your own Facebook page? And then I'd send them an example, like you just said, and it would say, thank you, and then the person that introduced them. So thank you, Dan, for introducing me to Tony. He's come round to my house. It took 10 minutes, and we've saved some money, or a big chunk of money. We'd never say the exact amount, but he saved me money. If any of my friends want to look at this as well, just comment below, kind of thing. So the person who referred them in the first place, all their friends would see it. They tagged me, so all my Facebook friends would see it again, because they'd keep seeing it, every week or every other day or whatever, however often I closed appointments.
Yeah. And
of course their friends would see it. So suddenly that one kind of testimonial or review as a Facebook kind of status.
Yep.
I'd screenshot that as well, so then I've got that. But that's one great way of kind of tapping into their friends on Facebook and their social media or whatever, as well as getting one. And I would give them an example, and I'd make sure I wrote it differently for every person, which started getting a bit confusing. But that's kind of weaving the Facebook into it as well. Yeah. Well,
as you know, because you're kind of into the industry, but we call it in marketing, we call it swipe files. And we give, which is basically just a template, right? It's like here's what the copy. And other well-known marketers that if we mention their names, people will be like, oh yeah, I've heard of them, or I've bought something from them, or I've seen them online all over the place. And bottom line is they're lazy, and it's not a bad thing. So they need swipes. They need swipe files. Yeah. We need it too. We're too busy, to sit there and come up with our own stuff. So we need to give them exactly what to say. Now they can choose to take that and kind of tweak it or however they want to say it. Most people don't. Most people just copy and paste exactly what we wrote. For us personally, we actually write them ourselves. We just use whatever they gave us as ideas. Many of the times we actually scrub through their content to come up with our own ideas and own hooks, because usually a lot of their swipes aren't very good. So, but yeah, bottom line is swipes work. No matter what level you're at, more than likely, the higher the level you're at, the more you need swipes. So give people swipes, make it easy for them. Give them the 2 examples of testimonials they could write, endorsements they could write, and make it easy and get more testimonials for yourself.
Absolutely.
Testimonials for yourself. I think I slurred my words there.
It removes friction, doesn't it, by giving them examples, saying, hey, here's one you could use if you don't want to write one yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. So that's it from me, Tony, and of course we've got Dan with us today. So from me, remember, just keep on rocking, and Dan,
be a rockstar in your life and make the world your stage.